Alright, so in the last lecture we left off where we learned how we can use for loops in our Turtle module. So the next thing we want to talk about, or I want to talk about, is called lifting up our pen, okay? So the way this works is it uses the function called begin fill, end fill, up and down, okay? So begin fill and end fill are actually a separate entity. We'll talk about that in the next lecture. This lecture, I just want to talk about the concept of up and down, okay? So we have this fantastic looking star, and let's say I want to create one more star right underneath it. So I'll say t.right 90, and I'll get it now downwards. I'll say something along the lines of t.forward 100, and then I'll go ahead and create my star. So I'll copy this function again. It'll run, and I'll get this cool looking star. Except the problem is right now, both these stars are connected. You have this ugly looking line. How do I remove this line from sight? Well, this is where the t.up and t.down function comes in. So I'm going to go ahead and reset this, okay? I'm now going to say or actually, right over here, you know what, let's just do t.left 180. So I'm going to move back a bit. Alright, t.forward, let's say, let's do 100, okay? And then let's go ahead and turn back the exact same way, t.right 180. Again, you just don't do this. I'm just creating some space on the right hand side. And now I'm going to go ahead and call this function again. So I call this function, nothing really happens, but we now get this star a little more to the left. So after this is run, we now have this awesome looking star. And now what we can call is the t.up function. And all this t.up does is now if I call a function like t.forward 100, guess what happens? Our cursor moves, or our pointer moves, however, no line is drawn. So I'm going to go ahead and move this 40 pixels more, I guess. So get it out in the open. And now let's go ahead and run this star again. So I run this, and what happens? Ha ha ha, nothing happens. Why? Because I never put the pen down. So now that our pen is in the right position, go ahead, put the t.down function. So now it's going to write, and then call this function one last time to get our second amazing square, or star, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so to create, awesome. So we've now created two cool looking stars, and we've made them separate from each other by learning the t.up and t.down functions. Now the next thing, or the last thing we're going to talk about, is filling up these colors, or filling up an object. For example, if I create a circle, right, and I want to give that circle some color, how does that work? Well, what I can do is there's a function called begin fill and end fill. And we'll get to those in the next lecture, but I just want to give you a brief introduction that you can use those functions to add color to your objects. If you create a square and you want to give that square a blue color, you can use those begin fill and end fill colors to color up your objects. So we'll talk about those in the next lecture, and I'll see you then.